Let's swatch some vintage Japanese nail polish. Today we're focusing on the Kanebo Kate line from 1997. We'll be swatching 3 bottles today, starting with VI1 or Violet 1. Then we'll try BU4 or Blue 4. And then we'll finish with what I think will be my favorite, GN2 or Green 2. This one still has the original plastic tear-off tag on the back, so I don't think this one has been even used. Now let's get into the swatches, starting with VI1. This one is laying down a little sheerer than I anticipated, but it will build up, I'm sure. I didn't pick up enough product on that swipe, so I do go back immediately with more instead of doing a third coat. So how are my fellow Americans doing under this blistering heat dome? I live in a really old house, so my window AC units are struggling to keep up. My corn plants are loving the heat though, having recovered from the storm, and the neighborhood strays are enjoying the cool shade under them. I also harvested some celery, peas, zucchini, and a single Carolina Gold tomato. I ended up making the integral food of my mid-century ancestors, tuna noodle casserole. Almost 20 years ago, I dated a Swedish guy and he was obsessed with my tuna nudes. To this day, there's a Swede in the Stockholm archipelago tormenting his family with my recipe. But here's the full manicure. It's not my favorite kind of purple, but that's why I pulled this one first. The next 2 will be more my vibe. Now we'll swatch BU4. I guess this line applies a little patchy on the first coat, but I can tell this one will be beautiful. But back on the topic of Swedes, that relationship really awoke my desire to see the world. When I was a senior in high school, I took a month off to go to Sweden, having worked all summer at Walmart to afford the flights. I told my school I was doing humanitarian work to get off, but instead I got to 4th base on a small island outside of Stockholm. I did eventually break it off with him as I was going through some stuff, which got me kicked out of the house. I think my mom saw him as my ticket out of poverty, and she thought I really blew it in letting him go. I then was legally homeless for years, illegally living in a sort of artist commune of sorts, trading social media management and photography skills for rent while I got myself through college. These years of struggle were some of the best of my life, though. This blue turned out gorgeous. I love the way the edges of the nail, including around the cuticle, appear darker, while the center apex of the nail grabs my eye. And now we'll move on to the green, which I plan to wear for at least the next week. I guess the overall point I was getting at was that had I not traveled early on and gone through what I have, I'm not sure I'd have the courage to fly to Japan and pick up nail polish like these, and to live my life centering my passions over other pursuits. I know I could take my skills and make loads of money, but I'd rather focus on things that make me happy, because we're only guaranteed this one life for however long we can swing it. I really didn't plan to be so chatty today. If it's too much, let me know, but I think these polishes can speak for themselves. Now that I've told you about my first major boyfriend who I met online, maybe at some point I'll tell you how I met my best friend on Reddit and flew to Colombia with her without having ever met her in person. Despite being a socially anxious introvert, I really like to take risks, if you can't tell. This green is a showstopper. It reminds me of a 90s Revlon streetwear shade called Forest, which is still really easy to find. I'd love to know which of these 3 polishes is your favorite, and if you'd like to see more trios of Japanese polish, let me know. Ooh, I also have some 90s Australian Red Earth polishes if any Aussies want to be hit with some nostalgia. But be sure to follow or subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on my future uploads.